Wagwan sports fans, welcome back to this That Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting and everything sports topics, discussions, and debates on the internet. But before I get into today's video, don't forget to like this one, leave a comment and subscribe to this That Sports TV. But the one more thing for me is to share the video to at least 10 people, get to 6 subscribers. Because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that would get us by the end of the day? Yeah, you may attack. Share the video. Share the video, share the video, share the video. People me know used to reggae boys chatting, me know used to Jamaican sports chatting. But as I said, we want to expand the channel. But I still me alone I talk to them today. We still get some guests, we still get it going. As in, once the season kick off, once things kinda get back to normal in our life a little bit. We are gonna have guests, we are gonna have discussions, we are gonna have lives. Just bear with me. No, me keep on I say this every video, but just go on bear with me. Alright, today we're talking about the English Premier League. This is my English Premier League season preview. I go to some predictions also. I make you know what me think about the teams that have upgraded, teams that have downgraded. Tell you what I expect from the league. You see me? So let's get right into it. But most importantly, people, share the video. I beg you, share the video, share the video, share the video. That's it. Him just a post my Instagram. He just a sending on the WhatsApp group. Get the video out there. You see me? Because we have some good conversations over here, and we will have better conversations in the future. As you know, we still get some people on, as I telling you before. But let's kick it off. Let's kick it off. What do I expect from this 2025-26 Premier League season? I expect this to be one of the best Premier League seasons that we've seen in a while, or for a while. May I tell you the truth? I think this will be one of the most competitive seasons. Obviously, I think 2 seasons ago where Arsenal was chasing Man City was a very competitive season. Arsenal lost it in the end by a couple of points. But this season, I think that the league will not be won by more than 6 points. I don't think the league will be won by more than 6 points. I think the 3 teams that I will mention in the middle part, or probably the end of this video, will be battling it out. They will spend a couple weeks at the top of the table, each team. You see me? I think you know the 3 teams I talk about by now, but I don't think any team will run away with the league this year, because obviously you know that the Premier League season comes down to a few things. Obviously it comes down to the quality of your squad, it comes down to the depth of your squad, not just the quality of the starting 11, but it also comes down to who can remain injury free. That is what the league is all about. If we talk about Arsenal for the last 2 or 3 years, Thomas Partey get injured 2 years ago. If you talk last season, it was Saka and Martinelli. If you talk about last season with Man City, it was Rodri getting injured. It was Kevin De Bruyne getting injured for the last 3 years. If you talk about Liverpool, you know that go when Van Dijk go down. You understand? You know it go when some of those important players go down. It is going to be hard for you to win the Premier League. You need the best players to stay fit and stay consistent throughout the season. So obviously, barring injury, everything that I'm going to say will be nullified if these players get injured, if one of these squads take a massive injury hit. All of this doesn't make no sense. You see me? But I do expect the league to be competitive. I do expect it to be very tight at the top. I expect it to be a dignity battle going right all the way to the end of the season. But less of that, less of the expectations, less of that. Let's talk about the teams, what I expect from each team and the prediction and why I'm making these predictions. So let's start with the top 5. What do I expect from the Premier League in terms of the top 5 are the teams that will finish in the top 5 spots. So in 5th spot, people gonna probably gonna beat me for some of them predictions about. I just owe me a seat. I mean, if I call it owe me seat, and not bias not really in my thing, not because I'm an Arsenal shirt. This is just how I see it. I'm gonna spit it on my seat. In fifth place, I have Manchester United finishing 5th in the Premier League. That is what I see from Manchester United. That is the ceiling that I see for this team. I don't think this team will be able to pull anything out of the hat. I don't think they will be able to make a run at the Premier League. I don't think they will be good enough to make a run at the Premier League. I don't think this Manchester United team is deep enough to even challenge for a title. I don't think so. I think they've made some good signings, but I think those signings will need some time to bed into Manchester United. And I don't think this desperation move that Manchester United has been making for the last couple of years will work out in 2025-26. Obviously, they've let go of a few players. They've let go of Sancho. They've let go of Anthony and Rashford and some of those players, and they've brought in Brian Mbeumo and some of the other players, Sesko and players like that, who are really, really good players. But if you talk about going over the line, I don't think those are necessarily the signings that will get you over the line and make up that. I think Manchester United is at least 3 or 4 years behind at Liverpool and a Man City, and probably a 2 or 3 years behind at Arsenal. So I don't think a $75 million signing of Brian Mbeumo, a Brentford player, who is a very, very talented player, a really good player and experienced in the Premier League, will get Manchester United somehow to the promised land. I don't think the signing of a 22, 23-year-old Benjamin Sesko, who is not Premier League proven, who hasn't scored 25 goals in any senior league just yet, who is full of promise, very very good player, full of promise. I don't think that will get them over the line. So there is more to be done by Manchester from Manchester United, and I don't think it starts necessarily with the players that they have, because they have some talented players. I think it starts with the coach. I think it starts with the system. I think it starts with the philosophy that is in that Manchester United dressing room and in that Manchester United club. I think they've lost their way, and Manchester United right now reeks of desperation. I think they want to get back to winning ways so much that they're willing to try anything. Sacking coach left, right, and center, getting players in, getting players out, having your captain be Bruno Fernandes, which is kind of crazy to me. He was a good player, but come on, Bruno Fernandes as a club captain, not good enough. You see me? So I don't think Manchester United and their desperate moves will be able to get them to break into the top four. They are talking about them not being able to win the Premier League. They won't be able to break into the top four because they're not good enough, they're not deep enough, and I just don't see their coach getting them into the top four with the tactics that they have. Obviously, he's going to try, but I don't see it happening. Seeing? I don't see it happening. So in fifth spot in the Premier League, I have Manchester United finishing outside the top four and finishing in that Europa League spot. The fourth place team, or the team that will finish fourth come May in the English Premier League, will be Chelsea Football Club. That's what I see from Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea will be able to mount a title challenge. Chelsea is also one of those teams that think that they can transfer their way out of problems. Obviously, it's worked to some degree, but in terms of a Premier League season where you need consistency, it is so hard to be able to just spend money and transfer in and out players and just expect to win the league. I don't think that's the way it goes. But more importantly, even though Chelsea bring in some good players, the Jarpage and players like that, I think they brought in some good players. But I think what will actually happen with Chelsea this year is I think the teams will set up for them better. One, they need to get midfield consistency. But even though they need midfield consistency, what we've seen from them for the last 2 years, teams will be better able to set up for that midfield trio for Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Cole Palmer. I think teams will be able to set up for that. And this is what we say from the Premier League over the years. When you're breaking onto the scene, you will get that leeway. You will get teams not necessarily scouting you properly or knowing exactly what you're going to bring. And this is what we've seen from not Caicedo necessarily, but from a Cole Palmer for the last 2 years. He's been really good, one of the best players in the Premier League. But you have to understand that breaking onto the scene is much easier than maintaining and remaining a quality player for 4, 5, 6 years. And we see this happen with a lot of players. We see this happen with Phil Foden, we see this with Bukayo Saka. We see this happen with a lot of players where you break onto the scene, and then after a season or two, it is much, much harder for you to do the same thing that you were doing 2 or 3 seasons ago. And I think Cole Palmer would hit that roadblock, and I think he's good enough to overcome it, but it will take some time, and he will have some consistency issues in this Premier League. Cole Palmer, top player. No, this could be a season where he breaks out into the best player in the Premier League or whatever, because he definitely has the ability and the quality to do it. But in terms of Chelsea as a team, I don't think they will be able to get over the line. I don't think they will be able to have enough clean sheets. Chelsea struggle to keep a lot of clean sheets. They concede a lot of goals, and I don't think they'll be able to mount a title challenge. I think they'll finish fourth. I think they'll probably have a decent season and be pleased with that season. But one thing you can count on Chelsea to do is probably win a title, win a cup, and have a decent season. So as far as I see it, I think Chelsea will finish fourth in this year's Premier League because of those small things, not necessarily from the point of view where I mentioned with Manchester United, where it's a squad depth, squad quality, and coaching issue, adding to the philosophy and all of that. I think Chelsea has the right mentality where it's win or nothing else. It's if you're not good enough, we're going to get somebody else. All right, that might be the right mentality, but that is not going to reap rewards or benefits in 1 year's time, especially winning a Premier League, a 38-game season where you need to be consistent. I think a Man City and a Liverpool, they have, as a club, they have the system down pat in terms of finding that fine balance between healthy transfers and what would you say, building a system where it's not only about getting quality in and buying the Premier League necessarily, but we're going to get the quality in, but they're going to fit into our system, our philosophy, and our way of playing football. You understand? So that is what I think Chelsea will struggle with. They need consistency. They need their players to gel a bit more, and I think teams will be able to plan for their midfield, which is the most important part of this Chelsea team. I think teams will be able to plan for this Chelsea team much better. Along with the fact that I don't think João Pedro is a 25 or a 20 goal a season player. I don't think he'll be the player that can lead the line for them and score and win the Golden Boot. And I think if you're going to win the Premier League, you're going to need a 20 plus goal scorer for the season. If you're going to challenge for the Premier League, you're going to need somebody that's going to score 20 plus goals for the season. All right, you can say Cole Palmer. A lot of that is penalties. So you're going to need somebody to lead the line. You're going to need a forward. You're going to need a game winner, somebody that can make something out of nothing. And I don't think Joe Pedro is that guy. And just a lot of players around them. I don't think they're those guys. I think Enzo Fernandez is not necessarily the midfielder that you need to control a game, control the tempo of a game. I think they need a better game runner than Enzo Fernandez if you are going to win the Premier League. Caicedo is what Caicedo is. He's a destroyer. He's the hard-nosed tackler, heart and soul of the team, the belly of the Chelsea team. But in terms of controlling a game, he's also not necessarily that guy. Cole Palmer, not necessarily the guy to control the game. He's a guy that is going to show up in the big moments. He's a guy that is going to win the game for you. But in terms of somebody that is going to control the tempo of the game, somebody is going to take the tempo up, take the tempo down, and just run the game for Chelsea. I don't think Enzo Fernandez is that guy, and he plays that role for them. Not good enough in that position, and I don't think Chelsea will be a consistent enough team to be able to mount a challenge for the Premier League title. So, fifth I have Manchester United, fourth I have Chelsea Football Club, third in the Premier League, third in the Premier League, and I think from first to third, I think will be separated by a maximum of let's say 7 or 8 points. I don't think it will be double digits separating 1 to 3 this Premier League season. I think Manchester City will finish third in the Premier League this year, and I think that is because Manchester City has found themselves in a very interesting position. Very interesting position, and I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it from Manchester United after that run in the 2010s. I've seen it from, I don't know, Arsenal has been having that for a long while. I've seen it from see it from Chelsea, do it all the time, where it is you go on a winning run and then that golden team starts to break up and then you struggle to replicate it. No, Pep Guardiola, one of the great coaches, one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach in the world or in football. He is. But we can say when he doesn't have some of the best players in the world, he struggles to produce. Especially with Rodri being out for almost an entire season last year. And now, going into the Premier League season, Rodri is currently injured, alright? He's not going to be out for long. He probably missed 4 or 5 games. Expected to be back by the end of September or the start of October. But I think Man City is in that interesting position where they need to find or maybe innovate a little bit more to separate themselves from the competition. And I think one player is too important to their team. No, I understand everybody has that one player that if he's not there, you're not going to win the Premier League. I get it. For Liverpool, it might be Mo Salah or Van Dijk or maybe their keeper Alisson. For Arsenal, it is Bukayo Saka or Declan Rice or Gabriel or Saliba. I get it. If one of those players get injured, you are not going to make a title charge. I get it. But for Manchester City, it is almost like if Rodri is not in that team, they're a totally different team. They don't even look like themselves. And I think they need to improve the depth in that midfield this year. Alright, they're making some signings, I get that. But I think most importantly, that backup for Rodri is very important. And I need to see that before I can say that Manchester City is going to go on that unstoppable run that they went on 3-4 seasons ago. Yes, they won 2 seasons ago, but right now, especially from what I saw from them last season, I'm not impressed. Very inconsistent, and even in their inconsistent, they're so good, and that is credit to Pep Guardiola. In their inconsistencies, they still can finish third in the Premier League. They still can sneak up on Arsenal. They still can make it interesting in the end, and that is what we've come to expect from Man City. But right now, they don't have a solid midfield. They don't have a midfield altogether. They don't. I don't think they know going into the season. I don't think they know what is their best midfield. They're still trying to figure it out. Obviously injuries play a part, but finding that trio in the midfield is going to be very important for Man City. Obviously they signed Kovacic 2 seasons ago. That didn't quite work out. Rico Lewis is a right back that can play in the midfield. We don't know what will go on with him. Phil Foden can play as a top link. We don't know what will go on this. So obviously Man City has some work to do. Erling Haaland coming back is we expect that he's going to have a good season, and by a good season we mean 20 plus goals. But who's going to supply those goals? Who's going to create those assists? So Man City have a couple questions that they need to answer before I can confidently say that Man City will win the Premier League again. A few questions. Alright, the backline is going to be the backline. Man City is not going to concede a lot of goals. They are going to score a decent amount of goals. They weren't as prolific as they've been last season, and I think they will more than likely be the same this season. And unless something dramatically change in that midfield, unless something change in terms of creating more opportunities for their players, getting more dangerous wingers. Savinho is obviously linked with a move away. We don't know what going on there. So Doku, we don't know what going on there. So inconsistent wingers. All of the weight being on the shoulders of Haaland, Grealish going away. A lot of things happening in the Man City camp, and they have a few questions to answer. And those questions, we can list them out. What is your best midfield trio? We don't know. Is Rodri going to be fit for the season? And if Rodri is not fit for the season, who is going to play back up to Rodri to keep the quality of that team? Because he's the engine of the team, he controls everything that Man City does well, and if he's not in the team, that is the root of Man City playing bad. So that is a second question. Third question: who is going to score 70? Who is going to contribute to 70 plus goals for the season? Because we see that is what it takes to win a Premier League title. You have to score 70 goals or more. Who is going to do it? Last year, Liverpool scored like 73 goals, only conceded like 43 or so. Who is going to score those goals? Alright, Erling Haaland is there. Is Doku going to get you 15 goals or 16 goals? Is Savinho, if he stays, going to get you 15 or 16 goals? Is Phil Foden going to get you 15 or 16 goals? So answer those questions for me, and then I can be more inclined to say that Man City will be back and regain their title as the best team in England. Obviously the football will be good in parts and patches, but I think Man City will continue to be inconsistent, especially until they sort out Rodri staying fit and finding a backup for him. The team that I think will finish second in the Premier League this year, the 2025-26 season, is unfortunately Arsenal. And sorry, Arsenal fans, I don't want to see me in a Gunner shirt. As an Arsenal fan, it pains me to say this, but I just don't know anybody beat Liverpool. When I see it, Liverpool is already the best team in England. They've improved more than any other team has improved in England so far. How you make up ground on them? Somebody answer that question there for me. But to talk about Arsenal for a second. Arsenal is, I think, also in an interesting position. Arsenal has finished second for 3 consecutive years. That is not good. I know it just seems like, alright, the first year it was inconsistency. Cool. Alright, the second year it was inconsistent. It was injury. Cool. The third year, we still, like I say, inconsistency or injury. No, we were so close. We had opportunities and we messed it up. That's what it came down to. It came down to bad coaching, being unable to adapt fast enough to the opposition and to what the league requires, and ultimately not being able to keep our players fit. Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka going down for extended periods of time. That is ultimately what cost Arsenal the title charge. You see it. But this year Arsenal has made some improvements, and I think those improvements will be integral in Arsenal's title challenge. I think Arsenal will make a good push, and there is a world where Arsenal wins the Premier League this year, especially if Liverpool get an important injury, or I mean, I call for it. But if something happen over there in Merseyside and Arsenal can manage to get some consistency together, I think Arsenal can finish top of the Premier League table. I think they've made some important improvements. The loss of Thomas Partey, I think, is very big, and I think that is the biggest loss that Arsenal will face, or that Arsenal has faced for the last maybe 5 years. Thomas Partey is one of the most underrated players, or has been one of the most underrated players in England for the last 5 years. Yes, him can't stay fit, but when Thomas Partey is fit and playing at his best, Thomas Partey controls the game like no other. Thomas Partey reminds me of a Sergio Busquets. His little shoulder drops, his little feints, his long legs, being able to just pick off the ball from players, get a toe off in the right positions. Alright, he make a mistake here and there, but in terms of controlling the game, I don't exactly know where that is going to come from this year. Obviously, the Zubamendi especially in the last two preseason games, Zubamendi seem like him can do it. Him pop up in the right positions. Him just look like a workhorse. Him look like him can get the job done. Him look like him can control a game properly. Excited to see more from Zubamendi, but I have a seat. You see me, I can't just see Zubamendi go slide in and just adapt to the Premier League game right away. You see me? The Premier League game is considerably more physical, it's considerably faster than La Liga, coming out of a Real Sociedad team where you're not expected to win the Premier, where you're not expected to win La Liga. Now you're in a situation where you're expected to play well every week. You're expected to put in minimum 7 out of 10 performance, and when you don't, you're going to get killed by the fans. You see me? It's where you deal with Siri? Siri, where you deal with? Where you deal? Nobody not talk to you, be. You see me? So you're expected to put in 7 out of 10 performance minimum. The league is going to be fast. The ball are knock around it, the ball are knocking your head like nail. You see me? I need to see it from Zubamendi before me. I gotta say he's a very very good player, talented player, one of the best signings that has been made this transfer window. But me have a seat. You see me? Declan Rice is going to be Declan Rice. Martin Odegaard needs to be a bit more consistent. I don't know if Arsenal can win a Premier League title with Martin Odegaard being the most creative player in the team. Not from what I saw from him in the last year and a half. I think he needs to be better. I think he needs to be more consistent. He has a talent to do it, but I think he needs to be way more consistent than what I've seen from him for the last year. Bukayo Saka is going to be Bukayo Saka. We need a left winger. I don't know if Nani Madueke is the answer, but the exciting part about this Arsenal team, I mean, I'll go Panalima and make a prediction that Victor Gyökeres is probably going to score 25 goals this season. Minimum 20 goals this season. Because if I look at what Arsenal is missing, it's a direct threat. We have a threat down the right side. We have a threat down the left side. It's not as potent as a threat down the right side, but we do have a threat down the left side. And I don't think teams are going to be able to double up on our wingers as much as they have been doubling up on our wingers for the last 2 years, because now we have a central threat where if you overcompensate on the left or the right, we can kill you down the middle. If you overcompensate in the middle, we can kill you on the wings. And so I think it's going to be much more of a bigger challenge for the teams coming up against Victor Gyökeres, and I think that is going to maybe unlock the creativity of Declan Rice, unlock the creativity of Martin Odegaard, unlike the creativity of Ethan Waneri or Max Dowman. I think that is going to be important to the Arsenal game. But in terms of the consistency again that it requires to win a Premier League title over 38 games, I don't know if I see it right now. Maybe midway in the season, maybe I say Arsenal can win the title. But starting the season right now, I don't see it. Unfortunately, I don't see it. I wish I saw it, but I don't see it. Talking about who will win the Premier League title, it is the one and only Liverpool. I think they will defend their title this year. I think they will be good enough to defend their title. And I think they've improved their team so much that it is so hard to put anybody above them. And again, I'm going to make some mid-season predictions. But right now, as far as my pre-season predictions go, it is Liverpool winning the Premier League. It is. No, I think one area that I think Liverpool needs to improve is their defense in important games. All right. Over the totality of a season, they are not going to concede a lot of goals. But in terms of in important games, in big games, in finals, in 6-point turnaround games, in 3-point turnaround games, they are not as clutch as they're supposed to be in that backline. And maybe that is the reason why Arne Slot is looking at Mark Gahey to come in and be an additional defender there. I think Konate is a top defender. I think Van Dijk is a top defender. But Van Dijk, I think, isn't as good as he's been over the last couple of years, and I think he needs to get back to that level. It seems like Van Dijk is a little bit too harsh right now. He's a little bit rushing into tackles. They can't do that in the Premier League with these skillful players. But outside of their shaky defense at times in important games, they have one of the best midfields. They have one of the best midfields. If you talk about McAllister, Gravenberch, all of those players, they're just top. If you talk about their attack, they've improved so much. Adding what my boy named Florian Wirtz, Salah is still there. They still have so many players that are going to take them over the line. Gakpo is still there. Frimpong just come in. My God, this team is just stacked and loaded. And as I said, the team that wins the Premier League more often than not is the most experienced team, the deepest team, and the team that can remain fit for 38 games. That is what Liverpool did last season, and that is why they won the Premier League. Other things contributed to their winning, of course, and you have to have a good coach, you have to have a good philosophy, you have to have a good team spirit and all of that. But yeah, that is what I see. No, to a few teams that are the team that I left out of my top five. Tottenham. I think Tottenham will have a really, really bad season. Don't be surprised if Tottenham finish outside of a top 10. I think they are going to struggle. I think they are going to struggle. They need some signings and they need some game changing signings. Now, I think the most important move that Tottenham made for this 2025-26 season is the hiring of Thomas Frank. I think Thomas Frank is a really good coach. I think this is a level above where he's comfortable. Obviously, at Brentford, you know that he's going to stay in the Premier League. He's going to get them to look tough. He's going to score set pieces. He's not going to concede a lot of set pieces. Top coach, really good coach. But people have to understand so the levels is different and the expectations is different. When you're at a Brentford, you're expected to finish mid-table. If you break the top 10, you do a good job. If you break the top 7, then awesome. At Tottenham, you cannot finish outside of the top 4 or else you're in troubles. Or else you're in trouble. You see me, you see what they do to Ange Postecoglou. He won the Europa League and them still get rid of him. And I think that is an important move for Tottenham too. By doing that, I think they exposed their intentions. I think they're showing you know what they want to do, and it's not just about winning a little title or winning a Europa League or winning an FA Cup or winning a. No, we want to be a good team, and by we I mean Tottenham. They want to be a good team, and it's not okay to finish 16th and then win a Europa League. Tottenham need to concede way less goals than they did. I think Tottenham conceded the 5th most goal in the Premier League this year. That is not good enough, and they were nowhere near scoring the most amount of goals in the league. Not good enough. Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And I don't think Tottenham will be good enough this year. I think they'll be inconsistent again, like they were last year. I think they lack a match winner. Richarlison is still there. Kulusevski is still there. They lost Son. They have good players there. But I don't think they have a match winner. I don't think they have someone that they can look to and say, hey, we're 1-0 down, go and equalize. Oh, we're nil all, we need to win a game, go and win the game for us. I don't think they have that player. I think in order for Tottenham to have a good season, they need to be a good team overall. They need to have team goals that they're scoring. They need to score from set piece, and they need to be one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I don't think they'll be able to get all 3 of those things all together to be able to mount maybe a top 4 push or a Champions League push or whatever. So I don't see that from them. If they're going to win a title, it's going to be outside of a Premier League, maybe a Carabao Cup or a FA Cup, and I don't see them winning anything. Especially from when they go out with a nice Super Cup just a couple of days ago. Awful, atrocious performance. Up 2-0 after 85 minutes and have PSG come back and win the game. It's just not acceptable from any team. But we know Tottenham got to work already. Don't like them, they don't like us. It is what it is. But that's what I expect. Teams that I expect to get relegated. I think Burnley might go back down this year. I don't think they've made quality improvements, and they've lost one of their best players to Man City, if I'm not mistaken, their defender. Burnley might go down, Leeds might go down, and Southampton I'm expecting to go down. Those 3 teams will be battling out in relegation somewhere around here. And this is one of the easier predictions to make. You know the teams that are going to be in and around it. Obviously, Everton was in and around it for the last couple of years, and Everton have made some additions. They just got the signing of Grealish going, and they're trying to make another push. But those are the 3 teams that I expect to do what them I do. Yeah, that's it. We have some more things to talk about, but as the Premier League go on, we're gonna have guests on the show. We're gonna be talking about some more things. We're gonna make our predictions. We're gonna talk about the game weeks and make some predictions, and probably have some gifts and all of that. So stay tuned to that, people. If you want to see more from this other sports TV, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and share the video to at least 10 people. Get us 6 subscribers, because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that would get us by the end of that day? But for now, this was this other sports TV. I got my gun.